You mentioned the different levels of that, whether it's physical level, emotional level. Speak a little bit on a leader, because we've heard it say you don't lead from your position, you lead from your condition. And if you're all messed up, you're not going to be able to properly lead your team. So I think that's the perfect segue as we're speaking to the leaders and the founders. I want to touch on intentional adversity, something that you talk about for someone who's already drowning in the unintentional adversity, the punches that life's throwing at them, whether it's payroll, lawsuits, supply chain issues. It could sound insane to somebody when you tell them, hey, add some more stress to your life. What is the specific protocol for adding intentional adversity that will actually remove stress or recover energy rather than draining it?
So intentional adversity creates resilience in the system. We can talk about that at a physical level, an emotional level, mental level, at a spiritual level. But it's simply making the choice to introduce enough stress to create a level of an increase in capacity and bandwidth. I've spent 25 years in strength and conditioning, and you have to break the muscle down in order to create performance enhancement. That's all we're talking about is taking that, which is this past year has been really put so much growth into the last 14 months. And one of the things that came to my consciousness is the way that I look at all of these things from a universal principle application perspective, that whether it's fitness, finance, family, relationships, leadership, it's all the same to me. The same principles apply in all of these verticals. It's really important you're proactively creating proof of your capability, which enhances your command presence, your confidence, etc. Because you can take these things outside of a business context and leverage them in that business context. i.e., if I can do that, then I can make it through this. And if you're padding the landing constantly, you're not creating enough an environment where you mentally or physically are resilient enough to handle proactively, positively in most circumstances, the friction that life throws at you. Is that making sense?
This makes me think about the psychological term, the window of tolerance. And you want your window of tolerance to be as big as possible, because when the window of tolerance is large, then you have access to your tools. As the window of tolerance shrinks, you stop losing access to these tools that you haven't quite mastered yet. And we're always, if we're growing, we're always desiring to accumulate more tools. And the tools that I have access to now are much more sophisticated than what I had access to 5 years ago. But in order to master those tools, I require to have a large window of tolerance so that I can practice them. When my window of tolerance shrinks, as Ted was saying, we lead from our condition, not our position, is if those tools haven't been embodied yet, then they're useless. If you don't train physically, if you don't eat well, if you don't train your physical body, what's going to happen over time is that window of tolerance is actually going to shrink as you age. And the more comfortable you are, it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Even if, Michael, you and I have seen this, someone who was in the military, how many guys do you know that you served with that let themselves go afterwards? Yeah, they may have been in the best shape of their life when they're in the Marine Corps, but fast forward 10 years and, they were fat and happy a little long. And their window of tolerance is really small. And their ability to pick up new tools and learn has really been diminished. It can be really difficult to start putting in the effort to take care of yourself. Maybe the window of tolerance is so small that even taking on the task of physical training and eating well can be a challenge, but it's something that must be done if we want to maintain a window of tolerance that's big enough to continue to develop.
The word that jumps out at me in everything that you just said is practice, right? We're not talking about perfection. We're not talking about game day level stress or stakes. The practice of stepping into this upgraded version of yourself is exactly that. When I walked out of the office, changed my mind and walked back in there and showed up as a higher, better version of myself, that was a practice. What I said in that moment did not come out anywhere near as clean as the story I just told, okay? It's a practice. You know, to have that conversation with my wife and reconciling with myself the fact that her feelings with regards to what I'm about to say are not my responsibility. The only thing I control is setting the table with love and respect. The reaction is on her, assuming that I've done that, right? It's a practice. And I feel like we lose sight of that so often, and we take these low stakes situations and we impress game day stakes on top of them, and then we enter that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response, and it's like, no. When the stakes are low, this is the time to practice. This is the time to say the thing that scares the shit out of you. This is the time to stand in your peace, your power, your presence. Make yourself a priority and say the thing that you would otherwise leave unsaid. When the stakes are low, you don't wait till you're in a stadium full of thousands of people to practice your speech, you know, or your pitch. You don't wait till you get to that founder's table, that investor table, and then like, oh, and just wing it. You do these things when the stakes are low, and you can, that I could have said that better. You create not only time for the intentional adversity, the practice of it all, but also the reflection required to do it a lot better.